Every day you wake up, you are becoming someone. Every decision you make, every thought you entertain, every action you take, it's shaping you. It's molding your character, your habits, your future. You are never in neutral. Even when you feel stuck, you are moving. Even in stillness, you are transforming, because time does not wait for your permission, and your mind is not a blank slate waiting idly for wisdom to arrive. It is alive, it is breathing, it is learning something, forming something, reinforcing something, and the truth is, whatever you repeat, you become. Whatever you allow, you strengthen. Whatever you tolerate, you train. Every compromise, every excuse, every indulgence, they are bricks laid down in the foundation of the person you're becoming. Whether you're aware of it or not, you are in the process of becoming someone, every hour, every day. The only question is, are you becoming someone on purpose or by accident? The Stoics lived with this awareness. They believed in the power of choice, not in some mystical, vague sense, but in the real, gritty, daily decision-making. They didn't wait for life to happen to them. They chose to respond deliberately, to think clearly, to act virtuously. That's the work. That's the path. That's the process. You don't become a wise man in a moment. You become wise through 1,000 moments of choosing clarity over confusion, peace over passion, reason over impulse. You may think your little choices don't matter, that checking your phone again, gossiping just a little, skipping your obligations for the sake of comfort are harmless. But what you're doing in those moments is not just a behavior, it's becoming your nature. The Stoics understood that your character is nothing more than the sum total of your choices, and your choices are always either moving you toward virtue or away from it. They are either sharpening your self-control or dulling it. They are either leading you toward courage, justice, and wisdom, or dragging you toward cowardice, selfishness, and ignorance. That's why Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You become what you give your attention to." Because attention is not passive, it's participatory, it's a vote, and every vote matters. You think it's just entertainment, it's just a distraction, it's just for a moment, but those moments are forming you. They are either making you stronger or weaker. They are either shaping you into someone you respect, or someone you have to justify to yourself. There's no pause button in life. You are in motion whether you realize it or not. You are practicing habits whether you know it or not. You are reinforcing values whether you articulate them or not. You don't need a formal oath to be on a path. You're already on one. The only question is, where is it leading? Because each action is a step, each thought is a road sign, each emotion you feed is a guide, and the reality is, you are becoming the person you will one day be forced to depend on in times of trouble. When the storm hits, when the trial comes, when the silence feels heavy, you won't suddenly become a different person. You'll fall back on who you've been becoming all along. That is why Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Wasted time is not just gone, it's spent becoming someone, maybe someone careless, maybe someone distracted, maybe someone who doesn't know how to face the fire when it comes. But the beauty of Stoicism is not in guilt. It's in responsibility. It's not about shame for who you've been. It's about the clarity to change direction now, right now, because this moment is another brushstroke, another step, another vote. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be aware. You have to see that becoming someone is inevitable. The only question is, are you becoming someone you admire, or someone you'll have to lie to in the mirror? You don't need a massive revelation to begin again. You need one quiet decision to stand up, to be present, to say no to what weakens you, to say yes to what strengthens you. The world will not remind you to do this. It will not make it easy. There are too many forces pulling you to become someone passive, reactive, angry, bitter, addicted to opinion, to pleasure, to praise. That's the default path. That's the wide gate. But the Stoic chooses the narrow one. The uncomfortable one, the one that demands effort, sacrifice, focus, and intentionality. You see, everything you consume, be it food, media, conversation, thought, it's feeding the person you are becoming. Every hour you spend, every person you spend it with, every task you perform or neglect, it's a deposit into the self you are forming. That's why Epictetus taught his students not to just read philosophy, but to live it. Not to argue for truth, but to walk in it, because philosophy isn't an idea to admire. It's a way of life to practice. You may think you have time, but time is only a mirror reflecting who you are becoming. It's not your possession, it's your test. What you do with it reveals your aim. Are you living with purpose or drifting in habit? Are you moving toward virtue or away from it? Are you training your will or abandoning it to appetite? This is not about drama. It's not about being hard on yourself. It's about clarity, because clarity leads to power. When you know who you are becoming, you start acting like it. You stop pretending you can afford another day of delay. You stop lying to yourself about what really matters. You stop playing the role of the victim, and you begin playing the role of the master, the one who controls what can be controlled and lets go of what cannot. The Stoics would tell you, you are not the past. You are not even your emotions. You are what you choose right now. You are your will, your reason, your character, your conduct. Nothing more, nothing less. So look at your choices, not your dreams. Look at your actions, not your intentions. Look at what you're feeding, not what you're wishing for, because that's where the truth lies. That's where the path is being walked. That's where the next version of you is being formed, and you are always becoming someone, whether you're paying attention or not, whether you care or not, whether you act with purpose or just let life push you around. But becoming is inevitable. It's not optional. The only choice you have, the only power you truly hold, is to choose who you become, not with one dramatic act, but with every small decision, repeated until it becomes a principle, a practice, a person. Every moment you breathe, you are changing. Nothing within you stands still. Your mind, your habits, your beliefs. Everything is being shaped by what you allow, what you resist, what you repeat. You're not the same person you were yesterday, and you won't be the same person tomorrow. This is not philosophy, this is nature, and the Stoics knew it better than anyone. They lived with the understanding that life is not something happening to you. It's something you are building with your actions, one decision at a time. This is why the concept of intentional living was so important to them. Because when you understand that you are always in the process of becoming, you stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of yourself to emerge. You begin now. You shape yourself not through thought, but through discipline. Not through speeches, but through conduct. Not through external validation, but through internal transformation. You are becoming someone whether you like it or not. So choose who that person will be every time you act without thinking. You reinforce impulsiveness. Every time you react with anger, you deepen that pattern. Every time you run from discomfort, you strengthen the habit of avoidance. These aren't isolated incidents. They're bricks, and brick by brick, you are building the structure of your character. Seneca said, "No man becomes good by chance. Virtue is not random. It doesn't arrive like the weather. It must be cultivated, earned, forged through repetition and effort. The man who rises early to meet the day, who disciplines his thoughts before his words, who holds his desires under command, he is not lucky. He is becoming, he is doing what most avoid, and therefore he is becoming what most will never be. That's the price of growth. That's the price of strength. And if you're not paying it, then you are becoming weaker without knowing it. You are becoming more fragile, more reactive, more lost in distraction and self-justification. Life does not care about your intentions. It responds only to your patterns. Who you become is not decided in one grand moment, but in the countless, quiet moments when no one is watching. The Stoic does not seek praise for doing what is right. He seeks to become the kind of man who cannot imagine doing otherwise. That is the true goal, not applause, but alignment, not admiration, but authenticity. And that kind of man is built one deliberate choice at a time. If you neglect your soul, you will still become someone, but that someone will be bitter, resentful, distracted, unprincipled. You'll become the kind of person who expects much from others, but very little from yourself. You'll crave comfort, but avoid the cost. You'll talk of potential, but flee from discipline, and that is not fate. That is the inevitable result of small compromises stacked upon each other. When Epictetus taught his students, he didn't just tell them to read the teachings. He told them to live the teachings, to embody them, to become what they studied, because knowledge without action is like a sword left in its sheath. It never gets tested, never gets sharpened, never becomes real. The Stoic path is not about acquiring ideas. It is about becoming a different kind of person, one who holds fast under pressure, who speaks with clarity, who does not blame others for the condition of his soul. Look at your life. Look at your habits. Look at the thoughts you entertain, the words you speak, the choices you repeat. That is who you are becoming, not your dreams, not your aspirations, not your excuses. Your habits are your identity under construction. If you lie, you become a liar. If you judge, you become judgmental. If you avoid hard truths, you become a coward. But if you endure, you become strong. If you speak with honesty, you become trustworthy. If you act with discipline, you become dependable. There is no need to overcomplicate this. The truth is simple. The challenge is in its consistency. The Stoics believed that freedom was not the absence of responsibility, but the mastery of it. That the wise man is not the one who knows the most, but the one who controls himself the best. Control over self is the highest form of power, not because it is glamorous, but because it is rare. And it is rare because most people do not want to pay the cost of becoming someone better than they are today. We live in a time where distraction is easy, where indulgence is cheap, where accountability is avoided. But these things do not serve the soul. They serve the ego, and the Stoic is not interested in feeding the ego. He is interested in forming the soul, in doing the right thing not because it feels good, but because it is right. And in doing so, becoming the kind of person who can walk through the world unshaken by it. There is a version of you that you are slowly walking toward. You will meet him someday. You will either be proud to stand in his presence or ashamed to face what you've allowed yourself to become. That future self is shaped right now, in the heat of this day, in the grind of these choices. The future is not distant. It is being formed now, and it is being formed by the smallest decisions you make. When no one else is watching, you think strength is in the big moment. But it is not. It is in the unseen. In the morning you rise when you don't want to, in the insult you ignore, in the anger you master, in the temptation you reject, in the discipline you impose on yourself when the world whispers that you don't need it. That's where real transformation lies. In the work no one celebrates, in the virtues no one claps for, in the long obedience when there's no reward, but the clarity of conscience. You are not static. You are always in motion, always becoming, always moving towards something, even if you don't see it. So do not take lightly the power of habit, the force of repetition, the direction of your choices, because they are leading you somewhere. They are turning you into someone, and once you arrive, it will be too late to pretend you didn't see it coming. So choose deliberately, choose wisely, choose to become the person who is fit for hard truths, for great burdens, for unshakable peace. Because the world is not waiting for perfection, it is waiting for men and women of principle, people who are strong not because they say they are, but because they have lived each day becoming that way through effort, through struggle, through relentless alignment between what they believe and what they do. You are not a finished product. You are a work in motion, and whether you are conscious of it or not, you are being shaped. The thoughts you allow to live in your mind, the choices you make in private, the words you speak when no one else is around to hear, these are not just passing moments. These are chisels in the hand of habit, carving you into someone new. The Stoics understood this. They didn't separate life from philosophy. For them, life was philosophy in action. It was not enough to know what was right. One had to become what was right. You are not becoming someone someday. You are becoming someone now, in this very hour, in the way you treat your time, the way you respond to difficulty, the way you carry yourself in the silence of ordinary moments. You are building a character that will either serve you or sabotage you in times of crisis. That's why the Stoics didn't leave their self-development to chance. They trained, they reflected, they prepared. They examined themselves each night, not with self-hate, but with self-respect, because they knew the value of a mind that is constantly improving. What kind of person do you want to become? That is not a question to be answered once. It is a question to live by. It is a compass, a standard, a filter. It determines what you allow into your life and what you remove. It decides what you tolerate in yourself. The person you want to become must become your priority, or the person the world shapes for you will take its place. You don't get to avoid becoming someone. You only get to decide how intentional that becoming will be. Look at what you admire, the strength of someone who remains calm under pressure, the wisdom of someone who speaks only when necessary and always with weight, the resolve of someone who acts without the need for applause. These are not gifts, these are results. They are the fruit of years of quiet becoming, years of restraint, years of practice, years of saying no to weakness and yes to discipline. If you want what they have, you must do what they did. You must become what they became, and that begins in the everyday, not in the extraordinary. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire of his time, yet his journals are filled with reminders to stay humble, to stay rational, to stay disciplined. Why? Because even the emperor knew that power on the outside means nothing if you are ruled by chaos on the inside. He knew he was becoming someone every day, and he chose to become someone worthy of his own respect. That's the standard, not to impress the world, but to live in such a way that you cannot help but admire the strength of your own soul. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You don't have to be famous to be great. You just have to live each day becoming more aligned with what is true, what is just, what is honorable. That is what makes a man unbreakable, not armor, not reputation, but character forged through fire. And fire doesn't ask for permission. It reveals who you are. That is why the Stoics welcomed adversity, not because they loved pain, but because they understood that becoming someone of substance requires heat, pressure, and the refusal to retreat from the challenge. What you do when life gets hard, that's who you are. What you do when no one is watching, that's who you are becoming. It's not about public image, it's about private integrity. Are you the same person in the dark that you are in the light? Do you live by the same principles when there's nothing to gain? That's the Stoic path. That's the way of becoming someone who doesn't need to perform, because their life is already aligned with their values. If you are not choosing, the world will choose for you. If you are not careful, you'll become what is easiest instead of what is best. You'll be shaped by comfort instead of challenge. You'll learn to react instead of respond. And that's the danger of drifting through life. You think you're staying the same, but you're not. You're slipping, slowly, into habits of thought and behavior that become the architecture of your future self. And then one day, you'll look back and wonder how you became someone you never wanted to be. The Stoics would tell you to begin each day with clarity. Decide what kind of person you want to be, and then spend the rest of the day proving it, not to others, but to yourself. Prove that you can remain calm when others panic. Prove that you can forgive when you've been wronged. Prove that you can endure discomfort for the sake of something greater. Every test is an opportunity to become someone stronger, wiser, better, but you must see it that way, or you will miss the chance. Self-mastery is not about denial. It's about direction. It's about aligning your life with a higher standard and refusing to settle for anything less. It's about seeing your future self not as a fantasy, but as a responsibility, because one day that version of you will either thank you or resent you. The habits you form now will become the boundaries of your future life. The disciplines you embrace now will become the freedom you enjoy later. The weaknesses you ignore now will become the regrets you carry. You are always becoming. There is no pause, there is no escape. The only question is whether you are becoming someone by choice or by accident, whether your life is a reflection of your highest values or your lowest impulses, whether your time is spent on what matters or wasted on what distracts. The Stoics would not ask you to be perfect. They would ask you to be intentional, to live with awareness, to make your life a training ground for the virtues you claim to admire. No one drifts into greatness. No one stumbles into wisdom. You walk there, step by step, with your eyes open and your will engaged. You get there by falling and rising again, by failing and learning, by confronting your own hypocrisy and refusing to let it define you. You don't become better by accident. You become better because you have decided that who you are becoming matters more than how you feel in the moment. You must learn to love the slow work, the small corrections, the quiet victories, the unseen progress, because that's where real becoming happens, not in the spotlight, but in solitude, not in applause, but in persistence, not in what the world sees, but in what you are building inside. If you can learn to value that, you will become someone unshakable, someone whose life is not an act, but a living philosophy, someone who can look at themselves in the mirror without flinching, because they know they've done the work of becoming someone they respect.